Task 1 is to design and create the storyboards for all of the animations. Each storyboard will have the name of the animation, the animator, the background and the characters involved written on the back. All of the storyboards will have the same design template to show that all of the people creating them can work closely as a team. The characters created and used within the animations were created using Adobe Photoshop. This was done to ensure each body part was able to be animated. At the beginning it was split up and saved as a PSD, then when each part was split they were each saved as a PNG. Squash and stretch is giving the illusion of volume and weight to a character. Our example of this is Spongebob jumping off Patrick's house and landing on the ground below. The squash and stretch motion will begin when he bends his knees and jumps, and will end when he bends his knees and lands on the ground below.
2 hours later.
Anticipation is the preparation of a movement. When you make a running animation, you do not simply move the character forward, you give them a wind up like a spring. The example we have for this animation will have SpongeBob take in a deep breath and then blow it out to start blowing bubbles. SpongeBob taking in a deep breath creates the anticipation in the scene. Secondary action is an action that results directly from another action. This is important to increase the interest and create realism within the animation. Our example of this has Patrick stuck to his rock. He blinks and falls off. When he lands, some dust particles will float up into the air, adding realism to the scene. And SpongeBob at the side of the scene will also blink. The blinking and the dust moving will be the secondary actions within the scene. Straight ahead and pose to pose is when the animator carefully plans out the animation, draws a sequence of poses, for example a starting pose, a few in the middle and a final one. Our example of this has Patrick and SpongeBob at opposite ends of the scene and gradually walking towards each other. Here you can see that we have two examples, one with a higher amount of keyframes and one with fewer keyframes. Slow in, slow out is when you have more drawings at the beginning, then a few for the middle scene, then more for the ending poses. In our example for this, we see SpongeBob standing alone, then farting. He lifts off the ground quickly and falls back down slowly. The slow in, slow out action begins when he leaves the ground. He gradually slows down until he reaches his peak, then he falls back down, getting quicker until he lands on the ground again. Arcs cover all actions with some exceptions. They give a natural and better flow to the animation. The example we use for this has SpongeBob flying or swimming through the ocean from right to left along the scene. You can see the arc in this animation while he swims. He goes up and down while moving across the screen, creating an arc motion. All characters through animation have to have some sort of appeal, and the personality has to be captured to interest the audience. Appeal has to also be appealing to the mind and not just to look at. In our example, SpongeBob starts off standing normally. He raises his arms up in the air, and as they go up the word appeal appears and flashes above his head. This catches the audience's interest. Follow through and overlapping is when the main body of the character will stop and the rest of the body parts will continue to catch up. It doesn't all stop at once. This is called follow through. When a character changes direction and the rest of the body parts continue forward, this is called overlapping. You can see this from our animation. The Krabby Patty is flung through the window, the camera follows it as it hurls in the air towards the customer before hitting him in the eye. Timing is the poses which come between the slow and smooth action. Showing both fast and slow timing makes the scene more interesting. The timing of a character is based solely on its reactions to certain situations. The example we have can see SpongeBob standing in the kitchen flipping a Krabby Patty. Exaggeration. This is when a character would make more movement than normal. Exaggeration in a movement will give your animation more appeal. For example, a character's eyes popping out very far to show they're surprised. Our example, you can see SpongeBob standing over the grill, placing his hand on it and watching it burn. The exaggeration is when the hand bulges and gets bigger. Solid drawing. You start off by drawing pencil sketches in a classical sense. You transform these drawings into colour and movement, giving the character an illusion of 3 and 4-dimensional life. In our example, you can see the pencil sketches of the two characters being used throughout. At the top, you can see 2 angles for SpongeBob and below a sketch for Patrick. Staging is an action that portrays a mood or an idea clearly to the audience. It's intended to draw the audience to a certain aspect of the animation. In our example, it starts off with SpongeBob standing alone. Then the camera focuses in on a small section of the screen. SpongeBob then jumps up so he can be seen, then winks at the camera. This will draw in the audience and allow them to focus on this specific part of the animation.